guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Veronica, aka the Millennial Empath, and this is part 2 of my journey story. Um, so when I was 14, I had my first spiritual awakening and was really put on this spiritual path, and I started learning all these different things, meditation, the work of affirmations through Louise Hay, and like maintaining, like being responsible for your vibration through Abraham Hicks. Now, I was reading a bunch of stuff. Like I remember Abe Hicks had this Sarah series of the Sarah books. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but I read all of them and just loved them all. Louise Hay had this book out. I think it was back in the 70s she first published it. It was called You Can Heal Your Life. And that book was my lifeline because at the time I still didn't realize how sensitive I was. And that book always kind of brought me back to my center and really pushed me to practice self-love in a way that I hadn't done ever in my life. And it was a real awakening for me. It was those affirmations and the self-love practice, the mirror work that she talks about in her book, was something that I did religiously because I felt I have to do this. If I get this done, if I am able to gain more confidence, I'm going to be fine. Like I'll be safe. I'll feel safe in my body. I'll feel good enough about myself to stop, thinking about terrible things about myself, and I'll be healed. I'll be good. And as the years passed, and I continued to read their books and do the practices that they recommended and that they taught about, I also got introduced to different teachers. Like I said, Wayne Dyer helped me kind of expand my consciousness. I know Oprah had this New Earth series with Eckhart Tolle, and that taught me about being present. And just so many different teachers from Hay House Radio. At the time, Hay House Radio had this amazing feature where you could download the old radio broadcasts for free. And so that was kind of my first introduction to podcasts as well. I listened to Denise Lynn. I listened to Mark Husson. I got into, my goodness, who else? Iyanla Vanzant, when she came on the scene. I listened to so many teachers on Hay House Radio, and it expanded my world because it just no longer was about self-help. It was also about astrology and, guided meditations about past lives, health for women through Dr. Christiane Northrup, and just like deep forgiveness work that I had never heard about through Iyanla Vanzant. So it was an amalgamation of a lot of things. I did a lot of things that I could get for free because that really was the only way that I was going to be able to learn, is just eat up any kind of information that they were giving away for free and through their books, because at the time I just didn't have the money to like go to any like real events or take any courses that they were offering. And it was, I'll be honest, it took in a lot of information. I did a lot of soul searching. I did a lot of uncovering my stories, having realizations from where I was through using their information that I was able to get. But I felt like I never fully integrated those teachings into my body. Like I understood them at a logical level, but I never fully let my whole being like absorb the information, because I was always like, okay, I've learned this, now what am I gonna, like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? The more I learn it, the more like I listened to the teachings and the more I got it logically, I was like, okay, So now I got this like new realization. What's next? Like, what else do I have to clear? What else do I need to discover about myself that's wrong to like heal? Because I still felt not at 100%. Like, I felt better than I did in the past because of the work that I was doing, but I still didn't feel like I was whole. I didn't feel like um like I truly loved myself, because there was still things that I felt like I needed to work on in order for me to be healed and whole and good, and whatever stories I was telling myself at the time. And then when I became 18, 19, I started reading tarot cards and doing angel work, like connecting with the angels and the angelic realm. And I realized that um, I had to admit to myself at that point that I was sensitive, because I would start to channel and didn't know that that's what it was at the time. But when I would read cards for people, it would open up this kind of like doorway or pathway in my mind, and I kind of felt like I could connect with whoever it was that I was calling upon for help. In my case, it was archangels, because I felt safer to get more involved with them in that way. When I realized that I was an empath, I was probably 22, 21, and I was like, I was flabbergasted, because I didn't know that there was a name to anything that I had experienced growing up. Because I just thought it was like I was me, like that was just who I was. Like I was just naturally crazy. um, and it's sad that I use that term in that way, but I believed that for the longest time, that I was literally crazy, because no one I knew at least admitted to me that they've experienced the same thing as me, where they felt so overwhelmed by people's energy. They were taking on other people's like thinking and beliefs. And you hear it all the time when that we take on other people's programming. But when you're sensitive, you can start to pick up not just on the programming, because that is already like in you from like a kid, but just you start to pick up like the really subtle messages that people tell themselves. And then if you are sensitive to the degree where you can pick up thoughts, that's where it becomes tricky. And that's kind of where I was at. I was picking up what other people were thinking and internalizing it and thinking that, oh, okay, something else I need to work on. Right? So it was this constant trajectory of feeling good, feeling like shit, feeling good, feeling like shit, as it is in life. But because I was doing the work and I would see some results, but not fully, I would always think there was something innately wrong with me as a result of that. And really, it was me just picking up stuff from other people who, they don't know that they're just living their life. They don't realize that, like, that I'm picking stuff up, and that's okay, because they're on their own path, right? But now that I know that I'm this sensitive, it's my responsibility to make sure that I'm okay and do what I need to do to make sure that I'm okay. So I discovered I was empathic around 21, 22, and that's when I met my mentor, Kiana Love of Be Wild Woman. She really taught me about the importance of grounding into your body, and I had never heard that term before in my life before I met her. She really taught me the importance of feeling safe in my body, cultivating a space internally, like this energetic internal space where I could feel safe, and teaching me ways to like clear my field. And she also did sessions on me, like crystal sessions on me, where I would be cleansed. I would have my guides, my angels around me, and they would also like give me messages through her, or like I would channel messages from them. And it was the most important experience, I would say, in terms of my spiritual growth, because my sensitivity played such a huge part my whole life. I didn't realize it until I started doing this work with Kiana. And um like she really created this space where I could learn more about myself and not feel like I was um, like stupid or insane for thinking that, or like too sensitive or crazy, you know? So I worked with her for over a year, a little over a year, I would say, and have since just been doing my very best to just take care of my energy as much as possible. And all this to say, wherever you are in your path, as a sensitive, as an empath, as a highly sensitive person, as someone who's intuitive, you just really, even if you're going through it right now, because there were so many days where I felt like I really don't want to be here anymore. I really can't stand living this way anymore. I feel like whatever is wrong with me is never going to be made right. I'm always going to be seen as like this crazy person who's going to love me because of how sensitive I am. If you're going through it, you're not alone. All of us have been there at some point. Some of us have been in really, really intense situations and places, whether physically or emotionally or mentally or all three. And all this to say, you're not alone. If you do feel like you need professional help, though, I would recommend you look into that, because there is no shame in that whatsoever. But on this journey, it's going to be a challenging ride, because the world we live in is, it's been desensitized for so long. And so when someone with these innate gifts and this beautiful open heart that is just open naturally comes before a person who is like very like, no, there is going to be some pushback, because you are an example of their innocence, maybe innocence that they lost from whatever experience that they had. And I also think it's really important to say that your path is going to change the longer that you're on this planet, and that you are innately strong. Your sensitivity does not make you crazy. It does not. It is your saving grace, I am telling you. When you see it as an ally, and when you approach it as an ally, when you give yourself the self-respect and the honor that you deserve and require because of how sensitive you are, that's when it becomes a complete game changer. So that's my story for today. I hope you guys have an amazing week ahead, and I will talk to you soon.